Well, it's time to get our gardens planted for this spring, and here in our orange garden, one of the first things that we're planting are some cannas. Now, cannas are a tropical plant, and they look beautiful. They lend a tropical feel to the garden, and they're actually hardy from zone 7 on down. But in this area, a lot of times we plant cannas more as an annual and lift them at the end of the season. And right now is a great time to get those roots into the ground. Well, actually, if you go out to purchase a canna, what you're going to be buying is a rhizome. That is how cannas are propagated and sold. And what you want to look for when you're buying a rhizome is find a healthy one, check it over, make sure there's not any rotting spots in it. And if you can get rhizomes that have 3 or more eyes, you'll have a bigger plant that year. Now, if you can't find them, if you've only got like 1 or 2 eyes, that's all right. Those will still be good, but they'll probably be a smaller plant. But then the next year, you'll have a bigger plant. Now, when I talk about eyes on these, here's one I wanted to show you. They're basically, you'll see little growing tips coming out, and that's the eye of the canna. Now, when you go to plant these, they like a well-drained site, and also one of their main requirements is to have a sunny site. Now, cannas are actually pretty forgiving as far as the soil goes. They'll take a lot of abuse that way, but they do like a soil that's been amended with a lot of organic matter. And as you plant them, just work the soil up and then plant them at a depth of about 3 to 4 inches. Now, when you put them in, lay them horizontally with the soil surface. Don't plant them up and down, but do this. And if you can, try and get the eyes of the canna facing up. Now, sometimes that's kind of hard because they might be coming out in 2 different directions, but the main thing to remember is to plant these so that they are horizontal with the soil surface. Now, I've got them here about 4 inches deep, and then just cover those back up with some of the soil. Now, these cannas are Orange Beauty. They have orange blooms and green leaves, and these are actually a standard canna. They're going to be about 5 feet tall. So we've got them at the back of our garden here, and I'm going to plant these about 12 to 15 inches apart. Now, cannas usually make a better show if you do them in a group, so I'm just going to scatter these around about 1 foot apart in this back area, so we'll have a nice mass of color here in the back of our garden. Now, after I have all of these rhizomes planted, I'm going to want to come back and water these in really well. And after that, they need to be watered with a good soaking watering around their roots about once a week if we're not getting any rain, because cannas do like a lot of moisture. Now, after they're about 6 inches tall, you might want to come in and give them a little boost with some 10-20-10 fertilizer. Liquid fertilizer works really well for this, and that'll just help give them a boost and start their growth on their way. But you don't want to do that right after you plant them. You want to wait until you see the leaves about 6 inches tall. Well, now with these large cannas that I'm planting in the back, we have also got some more cannas that we're going to plant towards the front of our garden. And these are Wyoming cannas. And these actually have orange flowers with a bronze foliage. And these are a smaller canna. They only grow about 3 feet tall. Now with these, if you don't have a lot of space, you can also plant these dwarfing cannas in a pot on your patio, and that can give you a nice tropical feel. And to do that, you need to start with a larger pot, because cannas actually are a larger plant. They have large leaves, and so that large pot is going to balance it out. Then, again, you just place the rhizomes in a well-drained potting mix, and you can plant 1, or if you have room, you could plant 3 in here, and then just cover them up again with about 3 to 4 inches of potting soil. and then water those in really good. Now again, you're going to want to fertilize those when they're about 6 inches tall with a 10-20-10 fertilizer. And when you're growing these in a pot, it's more important to provide nutrients for that potting soil. And so about every 6 weeks, give them another dose of that fertilizer. And you'll have a nice tropical feel for your garden. Well, one of our theme gardens that has a little bit more of a wildlife theme is our hummingbird garden. And here in the middle of April, hummingbirds are already arriving in Oklahoma. So it's time to get this garden planted up. Now, hummingbirds like flowers that have a tubular shape because they use these as a nectar source. And one of the flowers that I'm planting today is a perennial, and it's Penstemon barbatus elfin pink. And we're actually going to put a lot of different penstemons in this garden. We're also going to plant other perennials such as monarda or bee balm, and remember, we'll want to contain that so it doesn't take over. We're also going to put in some trumpet vine and also some agastache. All of these plants are perennials that hummingbirds like. Well, in addition to planting perennials, we're also going to put several annuals in our garden, such as petunias, some verbena, and some salvia. Now over here we have a couple of plants that we've been growing in the teaching greenhouse, and I just wanted to show you what you want to look for if you're looking for plants that hummingbirds like. Now this is a penstemon, much like the one that I planted, but it's already flowering, and you'll notice that we have tubular shaped flowers, and the hummingbirds can get in here and get the nectar. Now they usually like colors in reds and also in pinks. Now this is a red salvia, and this is one of the annuals that we're going to be planting in our garden. And you'll notice again, we have these tubular shaped flowers. Now it's a good idea to plant these in masses, and it's also a good idea to locate your hummingbird garden in a sunny spot that again is protected by a little bit of from the wind. It's a lot like locating a butterfly garden. And since the hummingbirds are arriving right now, it's time to get all of these plants planted up. So I guess I better get to work.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. You can also find more recent videos on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.